why Niger must be supported, Mali must be supported. They have taken a position that is right, a position that is good for the Africans, a position that simply says exploitation of the continent can no longer continue.
Niger must be supported, Mali must be supported, Burkina Faso must be supported, because they have taken a stand that is good for the African continent. That was Mama Arikana speaking. Mama, we thank God for your life. May you live long to see Africa Day of Glory, Mama Arikana. That is the mother of the African continent. Yes, I thank you very much for coming around. Please, I am your missionary brother, Brother Dubia Anzanse. Please, if you haven't joined our mission yet, One Africa Mission, the #1 Africa Mission. We are missionaries. We are on a mission. And our mission is all about the unification of the African continent. Our mission is all about the dignity of the African race. Please, as I keep saying, imagine Africa with one military. Africa with one currency. Africa with one president. And Africa with its own passport. If we are united for the collective good of all of us, do you think there is a country that can stand the continent of Africa? With the brains that we have, if we are not taking it for to go and work for the good of America, if we are not using our brains for the good of Europe, if we are not using our intellect for the good of China, and then we're going to come together deliberately and say, we as children of Africa, we're going to use our resources, our brains for the good of Africa, our knowledge for the good of Africa. Imagine, just come to imagine that, because we are pushing every country or every continent to progress, and yet we are languishing at the bottom of the human race. Why? Because a group of criminals went to Berlin. I keep calling them the colonial criminal, so-called colonial masters, who are nothing but colonial criminals. Stop calling them your colonial masters. They are nothing but colonial criminals. They went to Berlin and divide Africa among themselves. And the intention was to keep the African race at the bottom of the human race. And true, we are seeing it. We are, whether we like it or not, we are at the bottom. Even though we have everything it takes to be at the top, what can we do to bring an end to this exploitation of the African continent? We can only stop it by uniting the continent of Africa. So please, if you want to bring a change, then join any Pan-African group that is fighting for the unification of Africa. There are a lot out there, and the day of Africa unity is fast approaching. Let your name be counted. Let future generation mention your name and said he was part of those who stood up and fight for the unification of Africa, who stood up and fight for my dignity. And today, because imagine, today a European wake up all over the world, the European is the so-called white race. All over the world, wherever they go, they are respected. No matter what, you may not like them, but no matter what, wherever a European goes, he's respected. Today, 50, 60 years ago, Chinese were not like that. But today, everywhere Chinese citizens go, they are going with dignity. Why are we, as children of Africa, cannot see this and stand up for our own dignity? Let us fight for the unification of Africa and for the dignity of the African race. If you are not happy with the Africa that you inherited from your ancestors, please then work to bring change so that your children, the next generation of Africans, can also have dignity, can also be walking around the world with pride. We cannot allow some people to make themselves global citizens. They are citizens of this world, and then we are second or third class citizens. Because why am I saying that? They wake up everywhere they want. A British citizen with his British passport, wherever he wants, he can go around the world. Germany, American, the same thing. Japanese. The other day I was in Moyale in Ethiopia with a Japanese guy. He said to me, going to Kenya was his 64th country that he's going. He's traveling. No disturbances, not hustling. He go to the border, they stamp him, he's going. But we, citizens of Africa, we were in Moyale trying to go to Kenya. I'm wearing Kenyan descent. I don't care. I am a Kenyan just as anybody else. But I was denied to go to Kenya because I am an African. But the Japanese were allowed to go to Kenya. Why? African children. Why are we allowing the so-called educated buffoons to deny us the opportunity to travel around our own continent. As I said, the only way we can bring an end to that is to unite the continent of Africa. We need an African passport so that when I wake up with my African passport with my family, I can travel around Africa, explore and enjoy the beauty of Africa. Do you know why we don't appreciate Africa? It is because we don't have the privilege to travel around Africa. If you travel around Africa, you will appreciate what is going on. If you travel, Europeans appreciate Europe because Europe gives them the chance to travel around Europe. But anyway, please let us watch the full video because Mama spoke a lot. Mama talked about a lot. Let us watch the video. Come back just 1 minute and then I say something and then I sign off. I thank you very much for coming around. Please help us share our content. If you appreciate what we are doing, please share it and also subscribe to our YouTube channel, One African Mission. We are missionaries, as I keep saying, and our mission is all about the unity and the dignity of the African race. We are on TikTok, we are on Facebook, One African Mission. Please like, share, pass your comments. Your comments are really important to us because we are learning a lot, because some people are telling us that Africa can never unite, and we appreciate it, what they are saying, because they have valid point that we can address it and then move forward to unite the continent of Africa. So please, don't only watch, but please share it and also pass your comments. Your comments are very important to us. Let's watch the full video and then come back and analyze it.
So you tell me, are you okay with all our natural resources creating millions of jobs for European kids when our kids cannot get jobs because our natural resources are not getting value addition? Are you okay with that? We must go to the root causes. If a president of a country, my daughter, let me take you. You become the president of Nigeria today with all good intentions. You are told, do not talk about your military because we got that under our control as France. Do not talk about your financial resources. We control your central bank. We manage your financial policies. Do not talk about your finances. We have that under our control. Do not talk about your natural resources. Those belong to us. All your contracts, we shall choose and decide who builds your country. Now, if you stay away from all that, you are not free to run your country. What do you have? You've given up your natural resources. You've given up control of your financial resources. You've given up control of your military. What kind of a leader are you? I don't care what intentions you have. I don't care how Pan-African you are. I don't care how smart you are. Your hands are tied behind your back and you're blindfolded and you're supposed to engage in a fight and win. How? So I'm saying, before we even talk about how good a leader you are, I can tell you, I was joking with a friend. I said, I'm pretty sure right now, President Bazoum is probably happy. Because what kind of country was he leading? He had no power. He had nothing to control. That's a joke of a leadership. So once we understand that, we then go back and say, okay, fine. With whatever you were given, what have you done with it? Chinese do not look to outsiders to build China. Europeans do not look to outsiders to build Europe. No one else looks outside their region to build their regions. Why do we Africans, why must we always look outside to support Niger? We must come together as a continent. We must speak with one voice. If we do not speak with one voice, even those who tried, are you trying to say Kwame Nkrumah didn't try? He tried, but he was alone. He was not supported by many African countries. Had Africa come together, when the African Union in Addis Ababa in 1963, when Kwame Nkrumah and the Casablanca group were saying Africa for the Africans and African Union now, had the Casablanca succeeded back in 1963, Africa will be sitting in a different position. So my message to the Africans is, any African country that tries to stand up against the West alone without the support of other African countries, they are not going to succeed. Make no mistake about that. We are a tiny little dot in the ocean. But when we come together as a continent, that's why Niger must be supported, Mali must be supported. They have taken a position that is right, a position that is good for the Africans, a position that simply says exploitation of the continent can no longer continue. My daughter, you tell me, are you okay with all our natural resources creating millions of jobs for European kids when our kids cannot get jobs because our natural resources are not getting value addition? Are you okay with that?
So yes, watching the video, Mama said something that moved me, and that is what I'm just going to touch on, and then we call it off. Mama asked her host, Mama asked her, are you happy that the resources of Africa are being taken away every day to go and build other people's countries? Are you happy with that? And as a child of Africa, as a citizen of Africa, I know you too, you are not happy with that. And then you know why they are doing that, and then we cannot do anything because they have military might. Anytime an African leader stand up against them, you know what they will do to him, what they did to Gaddafi, what they did to Nkrumah, what they did to Thomas Sankara, recently what they did to Magufuli. But if we are united with one military, they cannot do that to our leaders. Whether the leader is a governor of Nigeria, a governor of Ethiopia, governor of Ghana, they cannot do that to him. So our dignity will depend on our unity as children of Africa. Because why are they? Do you think what they are doing to us, if it was them, would they take it? They are not cowards. So why do we put ourselves into this situation of being looked down upon like we are cowards? The European will not allow anybody to come to their country and take their... Imagine if it was reversed and then Africa were the one taking the resources in Europe to go and build Africa. Do you think the Europeans would have sit down and allow us to do that? Look at what they're trying to do to Russia. Do you think Russia... That is the reason why Russia is resisting. Because they have all the resources, just as Africa has. And some people want to take it for free. And they wouldn't want that. They will fight to their last breath. But we as Africans, Congo, the richest country in the world, they are taking our resources for free in Congo, using it to build whatever in America and all that. And our people are languishing in abject poverty. And then we have internalized the suffering to the extent that we don't see anything wrong with that. I was in a Congolese barbering shop the other day. I need Congolese flag. They don't have it. They don't have it. I went to Congolese party. More than 50 cars parked by Congolese people. Nobody has a Congolese flag in his car. That is how we have accepted our suffering as children of Africa. And Mama asked that question. Are you happy that every day some people are coming to take your resources to go and build their country? Are you happy with that? Are you happy as a Nigerian? People are coming to take the resources of Nigeria to go and build their own countries, and then giving you a visa to come and come and be slaves to them. If it were them, would they take it? So why are we taking it as children of Africa? Why? It is about time we stand up as men and women and say enough is enough. When enough is going to be enough for the children of Africa? When are we going to stand up and stop these people from taking our resources for free? What for? Why? They do that and turn back and call you the poorest continent in the world. And call you third world country. Why wouldn't they call us third world country? Because they have made us third class citizens of this in this planet Earth. They are the first class citizens of the world. Because why? They can go around the world and do whatever they want. But you as a child of Africa, you cannot do that. Why? With your African passport, I keep saying it because it's so painful. With your African passport, you cannot even move from one African country to another. But the European, with his European passport, he can travel around no matter how poor his country is in Europe. Look, even Eastern Europeans, the likes of Romania, Ukraine, and all that, with their passport, even though they are poor just as Nigeria, with their passport, they can still travel around the world. But with your Ethiopian passport, you are going nowhere. Why can't you dump that Ethiopian passport, or dump that Ghanaian passport, or dump that Nigerian passport, or Malawian passport, or whatever passport, and fight for a united African passport, African unity passport, where you can also you can back it with your resources, so that you don't even need to go to somebody's country to have your dignity. Because today, the African youth think that the only way he can gain his dignity is to pass the Mediterranean Sea to go to America. Today, the African youth believe that the only way he can have his dignity, when he got American visa, he's going to the church, he's going to the mosque, he's pouring libation and thanking his creator for getting an American passport. But in reality, they are taking your resources to go and build, and whatever they are building. And when they give you a visa, they are only giving you that visa to come and be a slave with your university degree, the only thing you can do in Britain is to become manager in cleaning company. With your university degree, the only thing you can do in America to become a care manager. That is all. Why? Something is not right. And then it is this generation of Africans that must fight and to bring an end to that. So yes, Mama spoke a lot, but that particular thing, that question that Mama asked, that moved me. Are you happy as an African that your resources has been taken away every day by some people to go and build their continent, whilst they are inviting some of you, the brilliant ones, to make them slaves in their countries? They are inviting the brilliant ones to make them slaves in their countries. Are you happy with that? Are you willing to bring a change to that? If you are willing to bring a change to that, then you must fight for the unification of Africa, because that is the only way change can come. Without unity, they will continue to explore Africa, and future generations in Africa will continue to be slaves to them. We will not be able to stop our children from dying in the Mediterranean Sea if we don't stop the Europeans from exploiting Africa, taking African resources for free. Mama also talk about President Bazoum. Today he will be happy at least, and that is the former president of Niger. He will be happy at least because what kind of country were he running? A country that was supposed to be paying colonial debt to France. Why? Today France is trying to pull Europe, NATO, to go and fight Russia because of what Russia is helping African countries to do to free themselves from France. Because immediately all these French countries in West Africa free themselves from the colonial bondage by France, France will become a third world country straight away. Because look, just 6 months in Niger, that Niger decided not to pay whatever debt, colonial debt to France anymore. Niger has been able to save almost $519 million just 6 months. So imagine if Niger can do that for 10 years. Imagine where would France be getting? If it was President Bazoum who was still there, France would be earning that $519 million within 6 months. And yet they call us, citizens of Niger, poor. We are paying them monies. The same thing in Ivory Coast. The same thing in Ivory Coast. The same thing in Senegal. The same thing in Benin. The same thing is everywhere, all the French-speaking countries. Who is going to bring an end to that? It is not the Chinese who is going to bring an end to that. It is not the Americans who is going to bring an end to that. Neither is it the Europeans, because they are the cause of that. It is you, the African, men and women, who will stand up, or who must stand up and be men and women and say enough is enough. We're not going to take it anymore. And we thank God that God has given us people like Mama Arikana, who has opened our eyes. And as I said, our dream and our prayers is to one day meet Mama Arikana. We cannot wait to see Mama Arikana. I thank you very much for coming around. Please, if you appreciate what we are doing, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, share our content, and let us all together fight for the unification of Africa. Together, me and you can bring a change to the continent of Africa. Together, me and you can handle a better Africa to the next generation of Africans if we can fight to see a united Africa. That is where our dignity will come from. I thank you very much for coming around.